recovery sobriety. So I just want to introduce Chad. Make him feel welcome. Thanks.
I'm Chad, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Chad.
There's really only one explanation for where I'm at in life, and that's a spiritual explanation. So if we could do the serenity prayer one more time, I'd be grateful for that. God,
Grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
thank you. One of my favorite quotes is by Charlie Chaplin. He says that in a short view, life's a tragedy, but in a long view, it's a comedy. And I had this experience when I was about 10 months sober. I had just got my license and I had just got a car, and where I was, they had a real late night meeting. It started at 11, and I was so excited to go there in my car. I felt like I was big time, and it was so cool. And so I go to the meeting, and because I want to be cool, I get there right about the same time the meeting's going to start, you know? I don't go early because I'm too cool for that. And so if it starts at 11, I get there like 10:58, and I take the first seat I can find, which is right by the door. And shortly after I walk in, a gentleman walks in with a Little Caesar's pizza box, and he asks me, would you like a slice of pizza? Much like when I got here, I've learned to not turn down food, especially when it's free. So I was like, hell yeah, I want a piece of pizza. So the meeting starts, they do the serenity prayer, the steps, the traditions, and then they open the floor. And the first person to share is that guy who gave me the pizza. And he said, yeah, I'm really struggling. I'm getting pizza out of dumpsters. I didn't feel cool after that. And it was like a running joke for a long time. And I hated the way it made me feel to be the brunt of that joke. But every time I get asked to speak now, I start with that story because I get a lot more comfortable when you guys laugh. So thanks for laughing. I grew up in Northwest Ohio. I had a loving family, dysfunctional, but a loving family. When there's a few like days and times that I remember very vividly, and a lot of those shape my perception of the world. And I heard another speaker. He came to our home group and talked about when something traumatic happens, you remember it vividly in short little memories that are very vivid. And I never knew what I was remembering, and it was traumatic before it was explained to me like that. I'll always be grateful for that. But when I was in third grade, I remember the whole day vividly. I've always been a messy, unorganized guy, and it's still true today. But all my clothes were dirty except the really nice outfit my mother had bought me to take pictures in. It was green slacks and a white button shirt with orange pinstripes, and I looked really nice. And I went to school. It was a normal day. And when I got home off the bus, my stepfather was upset with me because I hadn't taken care of the backyard. And he ordered me to go out there and clean up the backyard. And so I immediately did, and my little brother came out there to play, which was also very normal. And I went inside to change my clothes because I don't want to get my nice clothes dirty. And I don't know how long it was from the last time I seen him till I realized we didn't know where he was. But he ended up in our pool, and I very vividly remember my stepfather finding him and pulling him out of the pool. I remember his toes is what I remember the most, and I remember his blue lips, and that shaped my perspective of the world for a long time. And I held a lot of guilt inside of me, and I was just a child, but it wasn't until I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and I had a loving, understanding sponsor that could talk to me genuinely and sincerely, and I held that in for a very long time. But yeah, so if you've spent as much time or even a quarter as much time in a meeting as I have, You know why we're here, you know how we got here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time qualifying myself. But what I will tell you is every line I had, every rule I had for myself was the next line that I crossed over. Okay? I wouldn't use like this and then I use like that. I wouldn't use that and then I use that. I wouldn't drink like this and then I drink like that. I wouldn't abandon my children and then I abandoned my children. It did not matter what the line was. I was an habitual line crosser. And I lived like that for a very, very long time. So the very last time I used was May 14th, 2019, and I'll just take you there. It was early morning. I respect Alcoholics Anonymous and I respect singleness and purpose. So for the interest of that, I will just tell you I was taking shots that morning and let that mean what it means to you, okay? So I had this great grand plan. I was going to get up in the morning and I was going to eat a nice breakfast. And then I was going to take my shots. It was going to be a grand day. I was going to go to work. But the universe, destiny, God, whatever you want to put in there, that stepped in. And the next thing I remember, my daughter was standing over top of me. It's kind of like that memory in moments. Very, it must have been traumatic. Because all I remember is my daughter's hair. And I know they were yelling at me, but I don't know what they were saying. I just remember the way her hair bounced. And when I finally came back to, my mother screaming, just like any good alcoholic, I ended up living with my mother at 36 years old. Yeah. So, kind of like a prerequisite. But anyway, I remember my mother screaming, "Why? Why do you do this?" And it might have been the first time I have been honest with my family and maybe ever. And the truth is, I don't know. If I had the answer, if I could solve the riddle, I would gladly share it with you. But I don't know why. There was something different, and it wasn't like I had this great plan, like I need to be clean, I want to go to treatment, I want to get sober, I want to live a purpose-driven life. It just was a white flag, a real surrender. I had known for a long time that I was alcoholic, that I was not the man that I wanted to be. But it wasn't until my daughter seen me the way that I saw me, and there was no more secrets, there was no more lies. The cat was out of the bag, you could say. I just surrendered. And I said, send me. I don't care, I'll go wherever. And I went to detox. It's all very fortuitous now that I look back. I'm a 36-year-old uninsured man, but the state of Ohio has this thing called provisional insurance, provisional health coverage. So if you have a need to be treated, they will cover you. And there was a bed available. If anybody's ever tried to find somebody a bed or tried to find themselves a bed, it is not that easy. But it was that day. And I sat in detox for 5 days. I don't know. When I got to detox, they put me in this little intake room. And they were like, okay, what have you been using? And I told them. And they were like, okay, we need you to pee in a cup. And I was like, oh, I don't have to pee. And then they were like, well, you can't have any meds until you do it. So give me the cup. I remember that vividly. And then they gave me the meds, and then I proceeded to puke all over this lady's office. And then they gave me a shot of phenobarbital, and I slept for like 40 hours straight. And when I woke up, I stumbled back to that window, and I was like, I'm ready for my next shot. And they were like, no, sweetheart, no. But anyway, I stayed there 5 days. On my 5th day, they pulled me into an office and they said, what do you want next? Where do you want to go? And at this time, I'm not quite as desperate as I was on the floor. Now I'm like, I want to go home. And the very nice woman said, sweetheart, you're not welcome there. I said, well, just send me wherever. Send me wherever. They sent me to Warren, Ohio. If you've never heard of it, it's for good reason. It's a Rust Belt city that was ravaged by the recession. and sent me to First Step Recovery. And by this time, my thinking had come back, and that's never a good thing. I started thinking that I know what's best for me. And so when I'm thinking I know what's best for me, I'm not listening. And I'm damn sure not trying to understand what anybody's saying to me, because I have this voice in my head that tells me I'm right. I'm always right. No matter how wrong I am, or no matter how wrong I've always been, my head tells me I'm right. But it was a 21-day stay, and on about day 11 or 12, there was H&I every night at 7 o'clock, AA, NA, HA. They got every A you can imagine in Ohio, every single one. And I don't know what fellowship this gentleman was from, and I don't know his name, but what he said changed the entire course of my life. And it was simple, it was direct, it was profound to me. It said, you know, my life is not perfect today, but I don't have to hide, I don't have to lie. All I have to do is wake up and be me. And I know today that that is enough. And it's the first time I ever heard anybody say something where it was like, I want to feel like that. I do. I want to feel like that. That level of freedom, that security in myself, that not needing to hide, that not needing to lie to you, to tell you that I'm okay when I'm not okay, to tell you that I'm not doing shit I'm not supposed to be doing. I've been trying not to curse. You don't have time to do it. So there's one. Anyway, I started listening a little bit. It's still in increments. It never, for me, it's never this grand idea where things magically go the way I want them to go. But on day 20 of 21, they pulled me in an office, and this time it's a nice gentleman, and he asked me the same question the nice woman from the detox asked me. Where do you want to go? What do you want next? My answer is still the same. I want to go home. But unfortunately, his answer was the same as the nice lady's. Dude, you're not welcome there. So I ended up going to sober living in Warren, Ohio. It's about 2.5 hours from where I grew up. I don't know a soul. If you had asked me, I would have told you, yeah, I'm fine. But inside, I'm scared. I am scared. And they take me to, it's actually a pretty nice house. And they show me my room, and there's a nice bed. And then they show me this list of chores that I gotta do. And I'm like, this is bullshit. You mean I gotta make my bed and mop a floor? I was a child, an absolute child. But I didn't know it. It's that funny thing that crazy doesn't know it's crazy, and ignorant doesn't understand that it's ignorant. And now that I can look back at it, I understand it. But, yeah. So now they tell me I gotta get a sponsor. And the guy that runs the house is like, what do you think you need in a sponsor? And I'm like, I need this real, like, tough guy, badass, that's gonna tell me exactly what I gotta do. But much like the way I found the bed, the universe, God, destiny, whatever you want to fill that blank and fill it in for you. But I ended up with an 83-year-old gay Buddhist man as my sponsor. His name's Daryl. He would not mind me breaking his anonymity and that thing, but fearful, insecure, unsure, downright petrified. When I did my inventory, I found out how crazy I was because I had the most irrational fears. I would have been afraid to walk in here because I would have been afraid that every one of you would have looked at me. But I also would have been afraid if I walked in here that nobody would have looked at me. So no matter what happens, when I walk in here, I would have been afraid. And I walked around like that almost my entire life. Like there was a shoe that was about to drop. And I had a sponsor who loved me, who understood what I was saying, who never reacted out of judgment, would never give me the answer, but would guide me towards it because he understood something way more profoundly than I did. That when it's my idea, well, I'll do it. When it's your idea, it's wrong. When it's my idea, it's the best fucking idea.
You're gonna have to take that off. You're gonna.
In about 5 months, I started to get some more ideas. And so what I was living in was called a 3-quarter house, and it's different in every area, but really what it meant is I had a curfew, I had a regimen as far as how many meetings I had to attend, and every Sunday we had a house meeting. But they also had these things called 7/8 house. In the 7/8 house, you could come and go as you please. If there was like suspicion, they would drug test you, but more importantly, you could have women over. So I wanted to move there, And my sponsor, and this is really funny coming from an 83-year-old gay Buddhist, said, Chad, 2 things that are going to really mess you up in early recovery: money and sex. And if you value either one of those things over your recovery, I'm not saying you will fail, but I'm telling you the chances are stacked against you. And sitting where I'm sitting now, I know how true that statement is. And you watch newcomers come in, you watch them shine up, you watch them couple up, and then you watch them go out. And, anyway, I moved to the 7/8 house, and it was right around Thanksgiving time, and it worked for me. I had a great supporting network. I really plugged in, for the most part. I never did anything perfect. I never did anything exactly as it was described. I have a little voice in my head that says if we're going right, I'm going left. And I still kind of have that voice in me today. I don't know if that'll ever completely go away, but things went well for me there. So when I was about 11 months sober, I started thinking about what's next. And I have actually a few children, but 2 of my children I have custody of. My daughter is with me. She's been one of my biggest cheerleaders ever since that I've been on this path with my son. And my plan was to move them to Warren, Ohio, because I had a network there, and I was safe, and I was secure. And a man who's much smarter than me sat me down, and this is why you have to keep people in your network, okay? Because I don't know if you're like me, but I don't ever see things straight. I get really deluded by my own thinking, but anyway. I told him what my plan was, and he had just a few simple questions. He said, where do your children stay right now? And I'm like, they're with my sister. Oh, okay. Are they happy there? Yeah, of course. Are they well taken care of there? Yes. He said, okay, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You want to take your children away from everyone they know and they love so that way you can be more comfortable? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, when you put it like that, long story short, I moved to South Carolina. In the end of April of 2020, which was COVID, and if you've ever traveled north, 77 north or 77 south, it's a straight shot. And I'm coming down 77 south in a 1998 Saturn SL2 with everything I've owned for the last year, which is 2 Rubbermaid toast boats, nothing. And there's big flashing signs, COVID-19, stay home. Me cruising down the road. It was sincerely like an apocalyptic scene. It was absolute madness that I did that, but I did it. It's absolute madness that that car made it through the mountains. It did. When I got there, I moved in with my sister where my kids already were. And I followed directions. I called the upstate intergroup. And she said, sweetheart, nobody's meeting. But if there is a meeting, it'll be at 157 South Pine Street, Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is St. John's Clubhouse. And so that was Sunday. Monday, I went there. And not only was there not a meeting, they were doing construction on the building, but I still went in. I was scared. I was unsure, but I still went in. And I talked to the man that was there, and he gave me this welcome packet, with a list of phone numbers that I never even looked at, but he did give me the list. I said, now all I need is a job. And he said, well, can you manage a wheelbarrow? I think I'm qualified. And I worked for him for that whole first summer that I lived in South Carolina. He never became my sponsor, but if I've ever had a man that was my mentor, it was him. We seen the world similar. He had a son just a few years younger than me that was in active alcoholism. So he took a liking to me and I took a liking to him. And they opened the meetings back up. I immediately created a network. And I started thinking about what's next. It's always, I have this mind that I have to have something that's next. And it's a terrible thing, but it's the truth to me. It's always what's next. And sometimes I forget to smell the roses. I really do. Because of that overwhelming obsession with what's next. But I got involved in St. John's. I was a very happy home group member. And then I copped the resentment. Somebody copped the resentment at me. And it's all very silly. In retrospect, in the middle of it, it's like, fuck that guy. I'll give somebody's home for $2. Keep track of it, I'll pay her for so I got on the website for a different fellowship, and I emailed a guy who emailed me right back. You know that part, we read it at the end of my own group. The great fact is just this: we've had deep and effective spiritual experiences that have revolutionized my whole outlook and attitude on life. But another truth, and the great fact is just this, that I have had deep and effective spiritual connections with people ever since I put God first. And I've had to spend an exorbitant amount of time around these people to be connected with them. And that's why I'm here today. What a thought to go from feeling like I never fit in, that I'm the odd man out everywhere I go, to having people everywhere I go. It seems impossible, but it's real. It's absolutely real. And I'm incredibly grateful for you answering that email and for my man asking me to come speak. At the end, that voice in my head that tells me I'm not good enough, that my credit's always going to suck, that I'll always be a factory worker, that I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. It's there. But it's my choice today whether I listen to it. It's my choice. And being sober has given me that power of choice. Professionally, I've gone way beyond where I ever thought I would go. I started with a wheelbarrow. Then I started making jelly and Duke's mayonnaise. It's a real sweet job. Gotta have some daddy. So I went out for lunch from the jelly job and got picked up on an old warrant. And they frown upon getting arrested while you're on the clock. Yeah, so they decided they didn't want to extend my employment anymore. And I was embarrassed. It's like 19 months sober, feeling like I'm this big time, big cool guy, and I can't keep a job. How can I help anybody if I don't have a job? And I laid in that for about 3 days, just soaked in self-pity and delusion and doubt. And then I just got up and went to a meeting with an open mind and an open heart. And heard, I guess what I needed to hear to keep going. And then randomly, a couple days later, I got a phone call. Somebody offered me a job as a recovery coach. It was a goal of mine to work in recovery. And I spent 11 months working for this company, Greenville Transition. And it's where I found my voice. It's where I learned how important it is to be assertive, to exude confidence, and stay humble at the same time. We're not here to be meek. The world does not benefit from us playing small. But recovery is not, what do they say, rainbows and blowjobs? I don't think that's what they say. That was typical of mine, but that was not a curse. Anyway. I developed some really deep relationships with those guys, and there was one guy specifically, his name was David Conkle. He was also from Ohio. He came to Greenville, South Carolina to get clean, and he had about 11 months. He went out and he overdosed and died. And I tell that story every time I speak too, because that is the reality of this disease. We can get together and we're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to laugh, and that's what we're, I stopped myself. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. But the reality is people are dying. And we have a solution, and we should share it with anybody and everybody that's willing to hear it. I personally don't think we should slam it down people's throats. You should do what you want with it. I love that kid, and he loved me. And he's not with us anymore. Yeah. Today I work at St. Francis Hospital. And that's because of the work I did in here and the ability to believe in myself. I'm a guy with a GED. I think I'm intelligent, but that sounds pretentious, so I'll stop there. I help a lot of people, but God does that through me. That's not me, because I don't know how I got it. You know that feeling when you're strung out and you're puking every morning, or you're shaking and you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't know how the hell I got here. I have that in reverse now. My children love me most of the time. They laugh at my jokes most of the time. I have deep and effective connections with the people around me. And last thing I want to talk about is God. I'm going to shut up. I heard this story about this super religious guy and this atheist guy sitting at a table. And the religious guy asked the atheist, how can you not believe in anything? He says, well, dude, I went looking for God, and I went for this long walk, and then a storm came, and it got super cold, and I asked God, and he didn't show up. And he said, well, surely you must believe. You're sitting here. He said, no, some damn Eskimo showed up. And it's like, first it was that lady at the detox, and then that man at the rehab, and then Daryl, my sponsor, Gerald when I got here with the wheelbarrow, and every single person I've met then from now. If I allow myself to be open to it, I will see God work through people, and it will help me, and I will help them. And I'm grateful for the awareness, and I'm grateful for the invitation. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,